Hi everyone. So, in continuation with our series of Heart Talk by Cleo Wade, today we are going to start or we are going to talk on a very constant process of our lives, which is change. Change is the only constant of the entire life. So, that we are going to discuss today. So, it starts with a small poem. Let me read that out. It's only natural. Of course, I've changed, darling. I've grown. Of course, I've changed. I've grown. So, change being the only constant in our lives, it is important for us to embrace that. And at the same time, it is very difficult for us to embrace that change. Even I struggle to accept the changes. Even I struggle to, even if I accept those changes, it's very difficult to practice those changes. So let's read this chapter today and let's see how it's going to help us perceive things in a better way, perceive change in a better way. Change is necessary, it's important, and it is also what makes life exciting. Yes, change makes life exciting. It is important and it makes life exciting. When we fear change, it keeps us in an energy of feeling stuck, powerless, and resentful. But when we embrace change, we open ourselves to the understanding that anything is possible. Life is not supposed to stay the same. Yes, we innately also want some changes, but when those changes are imposed on us by life, by the circumstances, that's when the resistance to that change comes mostly. So it is important that we analyze what is going on. It is important that we analyze why the change is coming, what the life wants to teach us at this point of time. What is it that we are trying to resist? What is it that we have been stuck with? So, yes, that analysis is required. Life is not supposed to stay the same. We are not supposed to stay the same. Our life, our communities, and our world are always in bloom. When we understand this, we see that change is growth. And growth is essential for us to reach our individual and collective potential. When we understand this, that our life, our world, our communities are always in bloom, we see that change as growth. And as all of us know, that growth is essential for each of us to reach our individual potential. So, to accept change, it is important as well to understand what is that stable part of it. What is a stable part of us? When we know what is that core, that foundation on which we stand upon, it's easier for us to accept those changes and maybe incorporate and integrate those changes into the stability of our core. I guess so. This is my understanding. This is my analysis of how I'm going to accept changes in my life. So, there's this another poem, all of it. Which parts of yourself won't you let yourself love yet? Which part of yourself won't you let yourself love yet? What are those part of ourselves that we haven't accepted and we haven't loved it? We haven't loved it because we haven't accepted it yet. What are those parts of ourselves? Then she talks about this thing by saying that befriend your ingredients. What are you made up of? What are your ingredients? What are you made up of? The spicy, the sweet, the pain, the heartache, the gifts, the shame, the shine. What are your ingredients? Are all of these your ingredients? Are there more ingredients to you? Think about this, that what are your ingredients, what are you made up of, and let me know in the comments. Fall in love with all of you, with all the ingredients that you are made up of into this beautiful person that you are, and savor yourself. So, how can we open ourselves to accept these changes and move into, step into a radical life? First is to strengthen that core, the core that is there within us. And how do we do that? How do we strengthen a living organism? How do we strengthen these plants? By nourishing them, by nourishing them with water, fertilizers, sunlight, darkness, and the moonlight. So, this is how we nourish plants. How do we nourish animals? By giving them food, shelter, security, and love. How do we nourish human beings? How do we nourish human beings? We nourish human beings with love. We nourish human beings with care. So let's first of all start with nourishing ourselves so that we build this foundation of stability that we stand upon. So, the first point she says from the 4 steps for opening yourself up to a more radical life: love yourself enough to get to know yourself. To get to know yourself. What are your ingredients? What are you made up of? I think if I can talk about my ingredients, it would be lots of emotions, lots of emotions, sensitivity. I can sense energies, I can sense emotions. I am an artist. I have creativity in me as an ingredient. I have anger towards injustice. I have gifts of my personality, of how I am, of how I think, how I treat people, how I care about others. I think those are my gifts. and I do have some shame, and I also have some shine. So these are my ingredients, and I'm open to learn more about my ingredients. I'll think upon them today. And if you come across your ingredients, let me know in the comment section. So, the first point is to love yourself enough to know yourself by knowing our ingredients, and then nourishing those ingredients, then loving us to feel stable in our own core. Coming to the second point, achieve step one by having the courage to ask yourself hard questions. Ask yourself hard questions. Why can't we love ourselves? What is it that keeps us from loving ourselves? What is it? So, to achieve step two, to achieve step one, we should have the courage to ask ourselves hard questions. Hard questions can be very uncomfortable. It can give us anxiety. It can shut us down. But it is important to go through that uncomfortableness for some time and try to figure that out. What is it that is stopping us from loving ourselves? And how can we ask us hard questions? Like, what are the hard questions if you want to know that what are those hard questions that you want to ask to yourself? So that is step 3. Honor step 2 by having the courage to answer the hard questions. First, figure out what are the hard questions. What is it that you are stuck with? What feelings, what emotions, what thoughts are you stuck with, and you just can't seem to get out of those? And then honor those questions by answering to them. And the fourth step is step repeat steps 1 to 3 your whole life. For us to always step into a radical life, we need to love ourselves. We need to ask ourselves questions that what are the things that are stopping us from loving ourselves? What are the things that keep us from loving ourselves? What are the things that we haven't accepted yet? And the third is answering to those hard questions, difficult questions. And we have to do this all over again and again throughout our lives. Because knowing your needs is a superpower. We're going to read about our needs in the next video. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Have a good week. Today is Monday, 21st April 2025. I hope you have a good day, a loving day, a day that nourishes your soul, your inner child, your emotions. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have the courage to ask yourself hard questions, difficult questions, and I hope you have the courage to sit through that feeling of uncomfortableness for some time, and I hope you have the courage to answer to those difficult questions. Have a good day. Bye bye.